the outlaws, the bandits so-called, who are lawless, they have far more heart than the cop, Gujar Singh. And was that a conscious choice while writing it? Because they seem to be far more inherently good.
Right. See, I mean, in his head, see, everyone. So the one thing about the story was everyone was fighting the good fight in his head.
Yeah.
You know, so they, in their head, they were not. No one was a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, Gujar was avenging what happened to his family and to his village.
Yeah.
And these guys were sort of living with the guilt of what they did, and they had to sort of, you know, escape or sort of
find redemption.
Find redemption.
Yeah,
you know, in that at least Lucknow wanted that, and then some of them kind of followed his this thing. Man Singh wanted that for the gang. So it was all like, it's just so much of the idea of banditry in Chambal is about these values and about these principles. You
Exactly.
know? It's never about, I want to, or it never was about, I want to become a bandit because there is money in it.
Yeah.
Because there is really isn't that much.
They don't see themselves as gangsters or
Yeah.
criminals.
Yeah.
And that's very important to them. Even the most corrupt ones don't see themselves as that.
Yeah.
You know, so that was what was the most fascinating thing about the film for us. Because they have this really well thought out, well rounded philosophy. You're free to disagree from it.
Yeah.
And we also obviously do not agree, because there was a lot of caste element in that philosophy, because they're warriors of their caste.
Yeah.
They have to preserve an ancient way of life and you know,
the order.
The order.
Yeah.
You know, and they are the ones who are sacrificed everything so that you guys can live peacefully in your villages. We are so they have this, you know, there's these notions about themselves. And these are abstract ideas, these are fictions that they have made, but it is actually what defines them. It is actually what stops that they stop short of being just rank criminals or murderers or killers. Because you know, there's no wanton killing or, you know, so whatever they do, there is a reason for it. There is a deep-seated philosophical reason for it.
And there's also like this whole value system about how they treat women. And you know, like no women, forget about being touched. No women would even be looked at. You know, you are supposed to turn your face away.
In fact, they would touch the feet.
They would touch the feet of even the houses that they would ransack. You know, the women would be left alone. They would touch their feet, apologize. And which we have that little moment in
the beginning of the film.
In the beginning, moment when he gives that money to the bride, you know, and apologizes for what they did. And so that's what made this world so fascinating to dive into. You know, it wasn't just about it's a cool gangster film. That's what kind of separated it from that. It's that in a way the classic Godfather debate, right? That you know, I'll not touch drugs. You know, that there is a
exactly.
to it.
I mean, it's not. Exactly. When you say Godfather, as opposed to some people in Goodfellas,
Right.
who are very aware of the fact that
Right.
hum haramzade hain. This is
Right.
what we do. You know,
Yeah.
these guys don't have that. These guys are, you know, very proper like that.
I'm glad you brought that scene up, because I wanted to discuss that one where because I really like how you guys always manage to add some sort of dry humor even to the most unexpected situations. And that one when they're ransacking and they've gone there to loot the wedding, and the way Manoj has performed that scene specifically, and the way Ranveer is reacting to him, and he says ki 101 rupees.
And exactly is princely sum back then.
Yeah. So was that something that came in research or something?
It was there in the script.
I mean, that specific thing wasn't in the research, but you know, it just came from the idea of the way they looked at women and this moral code, and you know, and how you're supposed to do right by even the victims, you know.
अब शादी में आए तो मुंह दिखाई तो देना पड़ेगा ना. So it's like that.
And even he says कि इनको कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए,
Right.
like when they're fighting.
Right.
And there's also one more instance when when they're on the boat, I think so. Bhumi says to Sushant's character कि बागी दिल के बहुत अच्छे हो, something along those lines that she says. So I was saying कि it's so wonderful in a way, because you're showing like very nuanced characters in that sense. They're not purely evil or as we might have assumed, or like when we go to walk when we walk into watch a film like that, we might assume,
Right.
oh, they might be like that, or like we kind of associate themselves with archetypes.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what you guys
Yeah.
did. And I don't know, but once another scene, it's a very small detail, but I really like what you did. I think so. It was an editing choice or whatever. I'm not sure, but when Balakram is getting treated. And he screams, and that is immediately cut with the Bagi Ka Banda
With
poster.
that
Where
poster,
the, so that was, and I think so. You've done something similar with Urta also in one of the
Yeah. I can't
scenes with
remember.
Alia and like Shahid. They both have certain
Yeah.
sort of realization.
Yeah. Cute transitions.
Yeah. So talk to me about that, like those kind of choices.
I mean, it's fun transitions. Transitions are something that I enjoy. Every director does, I guess. But the scene was when Balakram is getting treated. Obviously, he's going to scream like a banshee because he doesn't have any anesthesia on him as they're taking out the bullet. The next scene, which was written, was that the cops accost the guy, the compounder.
Yeah.
And he says कि it was written in the script कि there is a poster
घोड़े पे बैठ
कि वो
के.
हाँ कि वो because that was one film I remember when industry knew that I'm making Sonchiriya, everybody had the impression कि वो 40 घोड़ों में तो घोड़ों की ट्रेनिंग हुई है कि नहीं, and that's also staple of the Daku film in India, And the fact of the matter is, Bandit Queen changed that because we realized that Chambal में घोड़ा का चलेगा कैसे?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
So these guys used to walk,
Yeah.
So that was a scene. That was just a bit of fun that we were having because it was a very somber film. So wherever little we can just inject some smile in it. So he says कि घोड़े पे आते डाकू बकलंठे ही है जी घोड़े पे आते डाकू बताओ.
Yeah.
So that poster was there.
Yeah.
So I just placed it strategically so that I get a transition.
Yeah. Another transition.
And we actually the poster that was written was Sholay.
Yeah, I was coming to show.
But बस उसको बहुत पैसे देने पड़ते हैं.